Sources say Jordan Ginsberg was placed on administrative leave for a reason not yet known. He was head of the criminal division at the U.S. Attorney's Office and the lead prosecutor in the Cantrell case.
New Orleans Mayor Cantrell arriving just a short while ago at federal courthouse in New Orleans, where she is expected to enter a plea on federal charges. You can see as she entered the courthouse at the front.
That's after the U.S. Attorney for the Southeastern Louisiana District said that Jordan Ginsberg was placed on administrative leave.
Today on California Reports, the federal case against a big city mayor accused of hiding an affair with her bodyguard just got a strange twist. The prosecutor who built that case is now accused of hiding a relationship of his own, and he's gone.
Earlier today, a federal grand jury returned an 18-count superseding indictment charging New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and former New Orleans Police Department officer Jeffrey Paul Vappy II. They are charged with a series of fraud, obstruction of justice, and false statement offenses for their role in a nearly 3-year fraud scheme that we allege exploited their public authority and positions.
Former New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is facing an 18-count federal indictment: conspiracy, wire fraud, obstruction, false statements. The man who led that investigation, Jordan Ginsberg, ran the public corruption unit at the U.S. Attorney's Office. He was one of the prosecutors who put this case together. This past June, he was placed on administrative leave. The government moved to formally withdraw him from the case. And according to reporting from NOLA.com this month, he's no longer with the Justice Department at all. Whether he resigned or was fired hasn't been confirmed.
A federal prosecutor who played a large part in the indictment against former New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has been taken off the case. That's according to court records. The U.S. Attorney's Office moved to withdraw Assistant U.S. Attorney Jordan Ginsberg. Ginsberg served as the chief of the office's public corruption unit and led the case where Cantrell and her bodyguard, Jeffrey Vappy, were indicted on 18 counts. They include conspiracy, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice.
Here's the part that makes this more than a staffing change. Court records and reporting from the Times-Picayune indicate Ginsberg is himself facing allegations that he concealed a romantic relationship with a subordinate at the office. That is strikingly close to what his own office accused Cantrell of doing. To be clear, no one has alleged Ginsberg committed a crime, and nothing about his situation makes the evidence against Cantrell disappear. But sources say officials inside the Justice Department have been discussing exactly that parallel and worrying about how it looks.
Tonight, U.S. Attorney David Purcell said his office takes all allegations of employee misconduct seriously, but gave no details on why Ginsberg is on leave. The office placed him on leave last Thursday. Today, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed to remove Ginsberg as the counsel of record from the Cantrell case. Ginsberg represented the government in the case since July of 2024 alongside another attorney. The judge has not yet signed the order to remove Ginsberg.
So what is Cantrell actually accused of? Prosecutors say she and her former bodyguard, Jeffrey Vappy, developed a relationship in October 2021 and then spent years using city resources to hide it. Vappy was on her executive protection detail, paid as if he were working, while the two allegedly traveled together, dined together, and met alone in apartments. Investigators counted at least 14 trips, domestic and international, and say the city paid more than $70,000 for his travel alone.
To have the city and the New Orleans Police Department pay Vappy's salary and expenses during the times that Vappy claimed to be on duty, but when he was actually engaged in personal activities, usually with Ms. Cantrell, but sometimes alone at the Pontalba apartment. The indictment further describes the many steps that Cantrell and Vappy took to hide their scheme.
But that wasn't the whole case. Prosecutors also alleged the two exchanged encrypted WhatsApp messages to avoid detection, then deleted them. When a private citizen photographed the pair dining together, court filings say Cantrell filed a police report and sought a restraining order against that citizen. And when investigators later asked about jewelry Vappy allegedly gave her, prosecutors say she signed an affidavit claiming she turned over everything, an affidavit they now say wasn't true.
Mr. Vappy is anxious to clear his name. He's anxious to prove his innocence.
Walking into federal court, flanked by his attorneys, Harry Rosenberg and Sean Clark, retired NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy remains silent ahead of his arraignments.
Officer Vappy now has to face this court proceeding, which he is prepared to do, and Sean Clark and I will be with him every step of the way.
Both Cantrell and Vappy have pleaded not guilty. Now, separately, because it's a different case entirely, a New Orleans building inspector named Randy Farrell was indicted back in 2024 on bribery-related charges involving Saints tickets, a steak dinner, and a phone. Allegedly given to an unnamed public official one that multiple outlets have reported is Cantrell. Farrell has pleaded not guilty. He is not charged alongside Cantrell in her indictment. Two separate cases, same mayor.
While leaving court, Randy Farrell singled out Chief Investigative Reporter David Hammer, who first uncovered those allegations that Farrell gave the mayor gifts in exchange for having a safety and permits official fired.
Lily Cummings explains.
After his arraignment Wednesday, Randy Farrell broke his silence.
I haven't taken a bribe in my life, and whoever says that, they're full of shit. Plain and simple.
The contractor and inspector is accused of bribing Mayor LaToya Cantrell with...
Back to Ginsberg. The government's case doesn't belong to one prosecutor, it belongs to the office. Other attorneys have access to the same files, the same subpoenaed records, the same evidence. Prosecutors get replaced all the time without a case collapsing. But that doesn't mean this changes nothing. Reporting indicates DOJ officials have privately worried that Cantrell's and Vappy's defense attorneys could use Ginsberg's situation in court, not to erase the evidence, but to raise doubt about the process that built it.
Why do you say that? Because that's what she just pleaded. What did she... We're not making any comments. Okay.
Any comment on the bond, the terms of the bond? Can you tell us why Vappy wasn't arraigned today?
He's being arraigned Friday.
Why is that, Mr. Eddie? Can you just tell us why that is?
Ask Harry.
What's your message? I mean, why?
Eddie, we have no statements. We have no statements.
Where is the mayor?
She left. She went home. So the mayor.
Where did she go out?
Huh?
Did she go out the back door, or?
There was another door on the other side. She went out with the detail and with the marshal.
How typical is that?
The U.S. Marshals allowed her at a different
strictly
entrance?
for security purposes.
Eddie, will you be prepared for trial November 17th?
And there's already a fight over what evidence gets in. Earlier this year, prosecutors asked the judge to allow new material, campaign money allegedly spent on designer clothing and champagne, and 2 rings prosecutors say Vappy gave Cantrell that she didn't turn over. Vappy's attorney pushed back hard, calling part of that claim, in his words, a figment of a prosecutor's imagination, and warned that if that evidence comes in, he'll ask to separate the 2 defendants' trials entirely.
Jeffrey Vappy. In addition, Cantrell is accused of using campaign funds for a personal stylist. Cantrell and Vappy were indicted together last year on 18 charges, including conspiracy, wire fraud, and obstruction. The indictment alleges they engaged in a long-term scheme to defraud the city and hide a personal relationship.
Do you think the judge rules in your favor, Eddie?
I have no idea.
Defense attorneys argue that the evidence being presented by the federal government has nothing to do with the indictment. We'll learn at a later time when the judge makes a final decision. Reporting from the federal courthouse, Anam Siddiqui, WDSU News.
Meanwhile, the timeline has already shifted. This trial was supposed to start in October of this year. In July, the judge pushed it to March 15, 2027, after both defense teams asked for more time.
The trial of former New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has been delayed until March. According to court documents, the delay was requested by Cantrell's attorney for additional preparation time and scheduling conflicts in a co-defendant's case. Cantrell and her former bodyguard, Jeffrey Vappy, were indicted in August on 18 counts, including wire fraud and obstruction of justice. Both have pleaded not guilty. Trial was originally set for October.
So where does that leave things? The case that made Cantrell the first sitting New Orleans mayor in the city's 300-year history to be criminally charged is still active. The evidence hasn't gone anywhere. What's changed is who's steering it, how much time both sides now have, and how much ammunition the defense may have picked up along the way.
Jordan Ginsberg, the federal prosecutor who led the prosecution and indictment against former New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, has left the Department of Justice weeks after being suspended for having an alleged affair in the workplace that Cantrell is facing. Sources say he was accused of having a relationship with an office staffer who was his subordinate.
Do you think the prosecutor's own scandal is a real threat to this case, or does the evidence matter more than who's holding it? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for the next update.